Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Karmic Gacha system in Modern Family World. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 21, Gossips. Third-person POV. Palisades High School. As Haley arrived at school, she waited for Dylan at the place where he usually parked his blue muscle junk car from the 1970s. The car's appearance could be confused by a 1970 Plymouth Duster, but it had lost its value years ago. Dylan had bought the car for $1,000 after working in the summer and saved up all his money for it. The crappy car finally pulled up 10 minutes before school started. Dylan. Haley strutted toward Dylan, who just arrived and was getting out of his car. His nose was patched up and clear bruises could be seen on his face. Haley. Dylan said in a nasally voice as his nostril was blocked. Slap. Haley slapped Dylan ruthlessly before he could say anything. I can't believe you don't trust me. I told you that Edward and I are only friends. Why can't you listen to me? You had to go and jump him like that? Haley, I didn't. That was Brian. Dylan tried to defend himself, but Haley was already so frustrated by him. We're over, Haley said and stomped off toward her class. They had only been dating for a month, and in that time span, Haley had broken up with him 3 times now. But this time, she was really angry at him and their breakup might be permanent. Especially when he imagined Edward as his Uncle Mitchell when he was young. She had heard the stories from Uncle Mitchell and Cam, mostly from Cam, about how confused, how afraid they were, how they lost friendships, how people viewed them as weirdos, and all of that. She couldn't accept the fact that his boyfriend was now one of the bad guys in Uncle Mitchell's story. Even though Haley seemed like she didn't care, family means everything to her. As she entered the school, she walked to the girls' toilet and called her Uncle Mitchell to tell him about what happened. Cam and Mitchell's house. Lily. Say goodbye to Daddy. Say goodbye to Daddy. Cam puppeted Lily's hand to wave goodbye at a well-dressed Mitchell in a suit as her other daddy was going to work this morning. I still think I should take a day off today, Mitchell said longingly. However, his boss already called him as the deposition had been moved up to Tuesday, so Mitchell would have to stay back today. As Mitchell walked out of the house, he received a call from Haley. He was a bit confused as it was 8 in the morning, so he thought that Haley had forgotten something in his house at the dinner party. Hello? Mitchell picked up the call. Uncle Mitch. Something happened, Haley said directly. Mitchell quickly became serious and turned back toward his house. Hey, Daddy's back again? Cam said in confusion as he kept playing with Lily. Aha. And then. Aha. Mitchell listened to the story Haley was telling, while Cameron became increasingly curious about his return. What happened? What happened? Cam asked with a whisper. Mitchell put the phone on his chest and said in a low voice, Cam, Eddie got jumped by some kids after going home yesterday. His face is all bruised up. What? Cam yelled in a manly voice that was different from the one he usually used. Yeah. And Haley had broken up with her boyfriend who apparently got jealous of Edward and... Don't make me wait, you monster, Cam said urgently as Mitchell cut his sentence short. Anne. Her boyfriend was there among the people who attacked Ed, Mitchell said dramatically. Cam gasped and covered his mouth. She is asking what she should do now, Mitchell asked. Talk to Ed. See if he's okay. Alex is one school with him, right? Call Alex. Let her check up on him, Cam advised. After calming the teenage girl, Mitchell ended the call after advising her with what Cam said. Should I call Pepper? Mitchell asked. Yes. Definitely, Cam said. I will call Ed's dad to see if he knows anything about it. I will call you and tell you about it later. You should go now. You're going to be late. Mitchell finally realized that he was standing frozen near the door for multiple minutes now. Yeah. I should. But wait, Ed is not gay, right? Mitchell asked. Cam flipped his right hand multiple times, a 50-50. If he didn't make the baby clothes before, I might have changed my mind about it. But the cake. Yeah. The cake. Mitchell said, and then he concluded. So, still ambiguous. I think Haley thinks he's gay. We should resolve the misunderstanding after we check up on him. He's practically family now. Cam said decisively. As Mitchell walked to his car the second time, he got a text from Haley. He ran back to the house in a hurry and almost yelled as he opened the front door. Cam. Edward has a girlfriend. A hot one. As Mitchell yelled that, Cameron, who was speaking on his phone, closed his mouth with his hand and said, So? He isn't gay? Or? High school. Haley, are you here? Tara, one of Haley's close friends, entered the girls' toilet after class had started and Haley wasn't in the classroom. She was a white girl with a single lock of braids in her hair and she wore denim-themed clothing to school today. I heard about what Dylan did. Tara said. He met Edward this morning, do you know about that? She asked. Haley opened the toilet door and asked, what happened? Ed came to drop off his girlfriend. You know, Abby. The goth chick. Tara gossiped. He has a girlfriend? Haley asked in shock. And she's even older than I am. Haley was a bit confused by what she was feeling at this moment. Was she relieved, concerned, or jealous? I need to talk to Abby. Haley said. Let's go to the class first. You can meet her at the cafeteria. Tara said and pulled her toward the class. Haley texted Mitchell the new information when she got it, but she had to keep her phone away as the teacher didn't allow using their phone in class. Dunphy's house. After Claire had dropped off the kids, she returned home and got a call from Cam the moment she parked the car in front of the house. Claire, have you heard? Cam asked from the other line. Heard what? Claire asked. Hurry up and say it, Cam. I need to get ready to meet Ed's dad. After Alex persuaded her nonstop as they returned from Mitch and Cam last night, Claire decided to call Ted this morning and learn more about what the job entails from the boss. It's about Ed. He got jumped by a few kids. Cam said after teasing Claire with his paws. Claire was surprised and said, that's why his face is messed up this morning, minor injury. You saw him? Why didn't you ask him? Cam asked accusingly. Well, he was on his bike. It's not like he stopped by for breakfast. Claire defended herself snidely. Then, she heard what Mitchell yelled to Cam after he returned to the house for the second time. He's got a girlfriend? Good for him. Claire said sincerely. And with him having a girlfriend, the chances he will make a move on my daughters are smaller. She thought. As Claire drove to the marina, she found Ted, who was trying hard to calm down the person on the other side of the call. She stood nearby Ted without him realizing it. Pepper. I know about that. I already asked Eddie about it. He said he's not pressing charges. And the boys couldn't even touch him. The reason his face is a mess was, he stepped on a rake as he turned back. That's it. Claire burst into laughter, causing Ted to notice her presence. Hey Claire. Wait a bit. I'm finishing up this call. No Pepper, we don't need lawyers. No. Don't march down to the school, this is not a gang fight. Claire was speechless after she heard the exaggerated response from this Pepper person. In her mind, she couldn't connect the angry Pepper and the Pepper she met once in the cafe together. After 15 minutes, an exhausted Ted finally sat down in front of Claire in the tourism office he rented in the marina. Here. Ted gave a stack of paper written by Edward that consisted of the direction the company was heading and the details for Claire's job and how she could handle it all from home. As she dived deeper and deeper into the document, Claire couldn't help but be skeptical. Edward done all of this? Or did you hire a specialized consultant? All him. Ted said proudly. Edward POV. The bell rang, and the first period was now over. Dude. Who did you fight? Jacob cornered me to ask questions about my bruise. The potato kid wasn't among any cliques in school, therefore he didn't hear yet the rumors ruminating in school. Brad Pitt. I replied teasingly. Among the rumors were, Dylan and I fought a duel to decide who would back off in pursuing Haley. There were also rumors about me getting even with Brian and Dylan, and there were also rumors about Brian wanting to end my music career by smashing my hands. The rumors keep growing to become larger and larger, the details were twisted, and the facts were ignored. Abby texted me after the first period was over. Abby, continue with the girlfriend thing just a little while longer. It's freaking fun here. I smiled at the fellow agent of chaos and texted her back. Edward, of course I will. My dear girlfriend. Abby, winking face with tongue face blowing a kiss, winky face with tongue out emoji, blowing kissing emoji. Most of the ordinary children at school had friend Haley on Facebook, whether they were high school students or middle school students, so they already knew I spent the day at the Dunphys yesterday. Abby was having so much fun watching people's reaction when they knew she was dating a kid 3 years younger than her. After the science class with Mrs. Henderson, I was approached by Alex while I was fetching my books from the locker. Hey. Are you okay? Alex asked as she stood behind me when I was opening the locker. I turned toward her after getting out my book and said, yeah. Why do you ask? You had a fight. Of course I'll ask. Alex said with a mixture of sarcasm and concern. I smiled and said, thank you, Alex. You're the first person in school that asked me if I'm okay instead of who I fought with. Jacob scratched his cheek as he was within earshot when I said that. The moment Alex approached me, he took 5 steps back to get away to safety from the 1.4M girl. He realized that he did something wrong, but he couldn't apologize because of Alex's barrier. Alex looked at me with concerned eyes. Have you gotten it checked? Don't worry, it's just a simple bruise. I said comfortingly. What happened anyway? Tell me the full story. Alex demanded. But, before I could answer anything, Alex flinched as she looked at the space beside me and stopped talking immediately. Ed, who hurt you like this? Jenna Mackenzie appeared out of nowhere and tried to touch my face. I widened my eyes, not because I was shocked that she was there, but because of her appearance today. Her blonde hair had been dyed brown, and she was trying to emulate Haley by wearing the same outfit Haley had worn last week. However, she applied a gothic-style makeup that was similar to what Abby was wearing this morning. Her loyal friend, the baggy jacket-wearing Elsa, was staring at me with dissatisfaction from afar, while she was standing next to Jacob. What? Elsa turned to Jacob and asked as the boy was stealing glances at her. However, Jacob froze from the single word, and stepped back robotically for another 10 steps, causing Elsa to stare at him in confusion. As I was shocked, Jenna managed to touch my face and brightened up as I didn't show a rejection toward her like I always did. I grabbed her hand after being stunned for 5 seconds. Meaning she had 5 seconds of skinship and being affectionate before I stopped her. Why? I blurted out as I was confused by Jenna's sudden change. She had never changed her hair color before, nor was she interested in gothic stuff. Jenna smiled and pointed at her entire body. This is the kind of girl you like. Right? She smiled widely as she tried to get into my embrace. I took a step back from the weird situation, causing Jenna to have the eyes of an abandoned puppy. Did you change yourself for me? I said in a horrible realization. By denying her satisfaction, it grew into an obsession towards me. I needed to stop her before she descended into madness and kidnapped me or something else. Touching her hair, Jenna said, Why? You don't like it? What kind of girls do you like? I will be that girl for sure. Jenna said desperately. She couldn't handle not being noticed by me any longer, so she resorted to this type of method. I sighed and pitied the girl who was so lost in her life that the only way she thought she would ever have any value was when she's with someone else. Direct rejection wasn't useful any longer. I needed to do it delicately now. You want to know what kind of girl I like? I asked her. Jenna brightened up and said hurriedly, yes. Tell me. Do you want me to go goth? Or, be more like Haley? Neither. I want you to be you. I said. Jenna was confused and she said, but you don't like me as me. Yeah. I don't. But she was much, much better than the person you're trying to be right now. I will tell you a secret that is only just for you, to stop doing things like this. What secret? Are you going to tell me the truth, or are you going to curse at me again? Jenna said, visibly excited at the prospect of being cursed at, which weirded me out once more. I will tell you the truth. Come here. I gestured to her to come closer. As she drew closer, I whispered to her ears, I don't like kids. That's all. My taste is an older woman. It's better that she's over 30, and has a dump truck ass on her. Jenna dropped her jaw after she heard about my honest confession. I pulled my face away from her and said, now you understand? Alex darted her pupil between Jenna and I, trying to find out what I had just told Jenna as she couldn't hear about the whisper before. But she couldn't speak up, not when Jenna was around. Is that really the truth? Jenna asked in shock. Yup. I replied casually and walked away as I pulled Alex with me. I also love smart women. So pick up a book once in a while. If you got second place in the entire grade, or even just your class, then I will go out with you once. Jenna thought about the matter deeply and asked from afar, why second place? I turned to her and smirked, 'cause the first place is already reserved, for me. I pointed at myself and smiled. Jenna was smitten once more, and her motivation to study had increased multiple folds as my smile was imprinted in her mind and added to her Edward moment files. Third person POV. What did he say? Elsa asked as she approached Jenna. He told me the reason why we're not dating. Did he curse at you again? Elsa asked with gritted teeth. Jenna turned to her and said, no. He told me the truth. It's not like he didn't like me, I'm just making a move too early. Why? Did he say he liked college girls or something? Elsa asked. Jenna touched her hair and said, let's go. I need to get to the salon and change my hair color back. What? Are you going to skip school? Elsa widened her eyes in shock. Of course not. I'm going to call my mommy to come pick me up. I am also going to need a tutor if I want to go on a date with Edward. Jenna said with a love-struck expression. She then muttered underneath her breath. I also need gasoline. What was that? Elsa asked as she didn't hear the last sentence. Nothing. Jenna smiled brightly and walked away. Elsa wondered why Edward promised to go on a date with Jenna inwardly, and she stared at Jenna with incomprehensible eyes. Then, she turned to the direction Edward had left, and she thought about the robotic giant who retreated from her earlier. He's his friend, right? He must know the reason for this. I need to talk to him. Elsa muttered, not knowing that it would be an easier mission to make a dog speak like a human rather than getting Jacob to speak with a girl. The rumors about the fight had blown out of proportions as it resonated across the middle and high school. Some kids even saw Edward whispering to Jenna's ears, and now even Jenna had become an equation in the rumors. A random girl said to his boyfriend, I heard Dylan catches Edward sleeping with Haley, and went to beat him up, but he was the one who got beaten up. Another random high school boy said in jealousy, I heard Edward having S*X with both Haley and the goth girl Abby at the same time. I heard Abby and Edward were blackmailing Jenna to become their pet. I heard Jenna had sex with Edward every single day. I heard Edward had. I heard Haley was. I heard Abby was. I heard Dylan was. And so, the rumors had completely lost their substance and turned into tabloid news that became entertainment for the teenagers inside the city. The rumors didn't care about how it would affect the people involved, and only existed to be the most unbelievable yet totally 100% true story written by the teenagers' imagination. Chapter 22, How Dare You Fantasize About My Mother? Third Person POV. High School. Cafeteria. Abby was sitting alone as usual, eating a sandwich that her mother had packed for her. While sitting, she browsed through the IT World news using her iPhone. It was then Haley approached her. "Hey. Can I sit here?" Haley asked as she stood anxiously in front of the circular table. Abby didn't have the best reputation in school, not because she's a goth girl, but on the first day in school, she smacked a boy with a food tray in the face as he insulted her mother. After that, no one dared to mess with Abby. Abby raised her head to glance at Haley and said with indifference, "Sure. Just sit. It's not like I own the table." Abby had never known who Haley was in the 2 months she had transferred to the school, nor did she bother to get to know anyone here. She would leave soon anyway, so why bother to make friends here? Haley sat down and stared at Abby, wondering why she didn't start the conversation. She had never started a conversation on her own before. People usually start the conversation for her as she was pretty. Using a plastic fork, Haley tried to eat the food she bought from the cafeteria, but her eyes couldn't move away from Abby. Abby felt that someone was staring at her as she continued reading the news. She raised her head up the second time, and saw Haley was looking weirdly at her. "What's the matter, doe eyes?" Abby asked as if she was talking to a little girl. "Why you, don't know who I am?" Haley asked while feeling extremely shocked inside. "Are you, somebody important that has or would have a direct impact in humans' lives while you're living?" Abby asked sarcastically. Haley, however, didn't catch a word of what Abby had just said. "I'm Haley. You know, the one who makes her boyfriend attack an innocent boy. I know you now," Abby said in excitement as she thought Haley was going to pick a fight with her. "I didn't make Dylan do anything," Haley said desperately. "I told him to call me if something happened, but he didn't even try to do that." Abby was a bit surprised as the petite girl started to vent at her. "Wait, how did you two meet again?" Abby asked as she realized that she didn't know the whole story of what happened between Haley and Edward. "He's close to my dad and my brother Luke, so my brother Luke stole a cake from his house. Wait, I need to tell you about the dinner, no, the fight with the band, and then." Haley told Abby everything in a rapid-fire sentence. Although Abby was flustered, she managed to capture everything Haley had said even though she basically didn't stop talking for about 5 minutes. "So this morning, I texted him again, but he didn't reply. When Dylan come to school, I dash." Haley. "Wait," Abby said while holding her hurting head. "Let me understand it first. So Edward had come to your house to welcome your uncle's baby, and your boyfriend attacked him for that? Is he an idiot?" Abby asked. "He is." Suddenly, Tara, Haley's best friend, joined in at the seat without even asking Abby's permission. "There's no doubt Dylan is an idiot. So, I got some news. First, Edward didn't break Dylan's nose, Brian did." "What?" Haley exclaimed in a high-pitched voice. Abby was confused when her lonely lunchtime changed into a Hot Topic TV show, but she was too curious about Edward to stop listening to the popular girls. "Yeah. I heard it from Madeline. Brian was the one that started to fight with Edward. But he was beaten badly by him, causing Dylan to interfere. And then, Brian accidentally punched Dylan's nose while Dylan was holding Edward still." Abby whistled as she was impressed by Edward's feats. "So how did Eddie get injured?" Abby asked. "So listen to this. Edward turned after knocking both Dylan and Brian to the ground, and he stepped on a rake. The stick was smacked to his face, causing him to fall to his knees. One of the neighbor's kids saw the fight and I got the news from him," Tara explained while holding back her laugh. She was one of the rare few kids in the school that decided to investigate something before she succumbed to rumors, making her one of the most trusted gossip sources in the school. On another note, she was also a journalist for the school newspaper. Ah, that's why he didn't tell me about it. Abby mumbled and took out her phone. She smiled mischievously and sent a text to Edward asking him how the rake tasted. Edward replied, like a 70s cartoon with ambiguous sexual connotations and racist jokes. Abby laughed out loud to the reply, causing the two girls who sat with her to tilt their head in confusion. So anyway, how long have you two been dating? Tara asked as she tilted her body forward toward Abby. Abby smiled and got her face closer to Tara. She then whispered, "None of your beeswax." Haley was curious about how similar Abby and Edward were. She wanted to ask Abby whether she knew that Edward was gay, or hinted at it, but as Tara was around, she didn't bring up the subject. Tara wasn't angry at all and she said playfully, "Come on. I told you about the rake. Do you know how hard it is for me to get that info? Have you guys kissed yet? Is he a good kisser? Does he play his songs for you? Has he entered your room?" Tara asked rapid-fire questions, similar to how Haley talked nonstop before, causing Abby to get another headache. Yes. 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 And yes. Crack asterisk. Abby heard a cracking sound, but she didn't know where. She ignored the sound and turned to the expression of the girls in front of her. One was frozen, while the other one was extremely excited as she got to hear some awesome news. Abby lied as she wanted to play around a little while longer, while simultaneously making trouble for Edward, as she understood that Haley had something inside her chest for that dear friend of hers. She could guess what Haley was feeling as Haley could barely smile when she heard the answer to Tara's questions. The school bell rang, and Abby stood up slowly from her seat while smiling softly. "It's been awful talking to you ladies. May we never speak again." Haley and Tara were stunned by Abby's words. They couldn't help but watch Abby's back as she walked seductively toward her next class. "She's so cool," Tara muttered. Haley was shocked by her friend's words and said, "What are you talking about?" Tara turned to Haley and said, "By the way, do you have a crush on Edward?" Haley was speechless at the question. She asked in concern, "Have you gone crazy today?" Haley then noticed that her fork had been broken. When did this happen? She thought as she held the broken fork. Edward POV. I picked up Abby at high school under the scrutinizing gaze of the hormonal teenagers who had a crush on Abby. "You know, I'm beginning to question whether we did the right thing this morning," I said to Abby as we started our journey to the giant Costco warehouse where they sold everything from children's crib to coffin. Costco, providing everything you need from birth to death. Abby came out with a slogan for the place as we arrived there. After buying the car battery, I cycled home carefully as the battery was pretty heavy. I made a bad decision today. Not only do I have a 105-pound goth cargo, but I really believe that adding another 50-pound car battery was a good idea. Abby took offense and pinched my waist as I assumed her weight wrongly. "I'm only 90. As I sweated while cycling to an uphill street, I said while huffing my breath, "Really? Sure doesn't feel like it. You're the one who's too weak." She smacked my back and used her legs to push the bicycle forward to seem less heavy. No matter what she said, I knew that she weighed over 100 pounds. We arrived at her place in half an hour. I parked my bicycle next to Desiree's car and Abby finally got off the bike after making me carry her all the way into the driveway. With a face full of satisfaction, Abby said, "Wait a minute. I will bring some lemonade for you." "Sure. And bring your mom's car key too," I said while wiping my sweat with my shirt. I was pretty lucky to be wearing a dark-colored shirt today, otherwise people would have seen my sweat through my shirt. I unbuttoned my shirt entirely as Abby entered the house, taking off my shirt and only wore my light green undershirt to fix the car. Abby came out with Desiree, who insisted on giving me the drink herself. "Edward, I have troubled you today. Would you like to come inside? I've made some snacks," Desiree offered. "That will be wonderful. I will wait until I finish this," I said, and then I teased, if only someone was 10 pounds lighter, I might not be too troubled. Abby showed her middle finger from behind her mother, and she hid the middle finger as her mother turned toward her.
Honey, could you go get some clean towels for Eddie? He's sweating a lot. Desiree asked in a calm tone.
Abby stared at me and gestured that she was watching me menacingly as she left me alone with her mom. She wanted me to behave around her mother, and there wasn't any possibility of that happening if she wasn't around. I opened the car engine trunk and started to check on the battery. It took me only 25 minutes to change the car battery and check for any other damage on the engine. My mechanical talent was kicking in, and a schematic of the engine popped up in my mind. Of course, I needed the knowledge of the engine for the talent to assist me, which I had already learned before from my grandfather in Wisconsin.
Okay. You can start the engine now.
I signaled Desiree, who was sitting in the driver's seat, with my dirty hand. She turned the car keys and started up the engine smoothly. Desiree shouted excitedly from inside the car.
"It worked. I don't believe it."
To be honest, she was only letting me try because I was a friend of her daughter. She didn't expect me to be able to fix the car at all.
"All right. Done,"
I said, and I closed the trunk of the car.
Abby, who was watching me, clapped slowly with a face full of mockery. "Now, you can get a hug from my mom." "Good for you, kid with mommy issues."
I was confused by her statement. Suddenly, Desiree ran towards me and hugged me tightly within her embrace. My face was buried in her F-cup chest as she was taller than me with the heels she was wearing.
"Thank you. Thank you,"
Desiree said as she jumped in excitement with my face still buried in her chest.
"Mom." Abby was horrified by the incident and stopped her mom immediately.
Unknowingly, her only friend had motorboated her mom on the first day they had met each other.
"Get off him," Abby said, pulling me out from my state of bliss. "Please come in, Eddie.
I will cook you something special for your help today," Desiree said excitedly and almost skipped to her front door.
"I will go home and take a bath first. Can I come by in an hour?"
I asked as I was too sweaty and my hands were dirty from checking the car engine before.
"Sure. We will wait for you. Make sure you come by,"
Desiree said excitedly and entered the house to prepare for the guest.
Abby stared at me angrily. "So, did you enjoy being buried in my mom's boobs? Do you want me to bury you in our back garden next?" "Hey," she hugged me. "I am helpless about it."
I shook my head to further irritate Abby and suddenly I moved closer to her.
"What?"
Abby was stunned that our faces suddenly became so close together. I touched her face all over and said, "You know, you're really pretty." Abby finally saw that my hands were dirty.
"You son of a b-. Abby. Come help me."
Desiree shouted from behind, causing Abby to turn and respond to her mother.
"Okay."
As she turned back to deal with me, I had already rode my bike back to my place.
"Bastard!" Abby yelled at me from afar. Third-person POV.
In the kitchen at the Dunphys' house, Phil finally heard about what happened to Edward after he came back from work in the afternoon.
"And you waited until now to tell me?" Phil asked Claire in a concerned tone, and he tried to walk to Edward's house. "Phil. Ted already said he's fine. Are you his dad?"
Claire said in disbelief after seeing Phil's attachment to the kid. Phil was reluctant to let the matter go and he looked at the front door longingly.
"Listen to me, Phil. I decided to take the job."
Claire tried to change the subject and shared her big news at the same time.
"Really? What changed your mind?" Phil asked with a supportive smile. "Well, Alex did," Claire said. "She told me how proud she was about me getting the job offer.
She said she didn't expect that her mom was so highly sought after and I should take the job as soon as possible, as Edward told her a few people had been applying for the job."
Alex's commentary. Alex shook her head at the camera. "No one is applying for the job. Ed didn't even create an ad because he believed my mom would take the job.
He has like a blind confidence in my family."
"I don't know why," Alex said in confusion.
Even I don't even trust my family, and he could do it so easily.
At the very least, my mom's critical point of view could help Edward when he trusts the wrong person in the business.
Alex exposed her plans and why she wanted Claire to take the job.
There is no way Mom is just going to be working at home, Alex said confidently.
One way or another, she would try to grasp the entire business to try and control it too.
Commentary ends. Edward POV.
After I had finished showering and cleaning myself up, I changed into a simple gray t-shirt with a V-type neck and matching it with a pair of jeans. I checked my phone and saw text messages from Haley. She had texted me when I was fixing the car, so I didn't have time to reply to her messages yet. Right now, she was bombarding my messages with random emojis and curse words as I didn't reply to her messages for so long.
Edward, sup?
Haley, that's it?
You ignored me for an entire day, and all you can say is sup?
Edward, sup, Haley? I teased her with my text messages as I walked to Abby's house.
Haley, forget it. Are you okay? Did you really take a rake to the face? Edward, I won't answer that. Try again.
Haley, are you really dating Abby?
Edward, for now. Haley's commentary. What does for now even mean? Is he thinking of breaking up with her? Or?
Haley said in frustration, and then continued with a whisper. Abby knew he is gay, and was helping him get out of the mess I created. She ruined her own hair in frustration.
Arg. Why the hell did these things happen? Commentary ends.
Haley, anyway, I'm sorry.
Edward, for what? You're not the one trying to punch me.
Haley, yeah, but I caused it.
Edward, nah, you don't have any blame in this. This is just the boys being stupid.
Also, they couldn't touch me even if they tried again the second or third time, so don't worry about it. I tried to comfort Haley as the incident really wasn't her fault.
Brian's pent-up resentment toward me was only looking for an excuse to explode.
It would have happened whether or not she had posted the picture.
Haley, why don't you come to my house? Dad is looking for you.
He wants to go to your house, but Mom won't let him.
Edward, I'm actually outside right now. I'm having dinner with Abby. Tell him I'll come by tomorrow.
Haley didn't reply for a while, so I put the phone back into my pocket as I arrived at Abby's house. After dinner with her mother, which was horrible by the way, Abby invited me to her room.
Did you bring your laptop? The makeupless Abby asked.
She had to take a shower as I had ruined her makeup before. Her room was filled with heavy metal posters and I could see the strap of her bra being wedged in her closet door, so I knew she had just cleaned the room before inviting me in. We sat on her bed and opened up each of our laptops.
Yeah. You want to see the website, right?
I said to her as I showed the website to her. The future forensic scientist was a genius in computers too, and she had created a few programs of her own.
Wait. You really created this? But how?
Abby asked in a cute shocked face as she read the codes I had created.
Trade secret, I said teasingly.
Abby sulked and tried to comprehend the codes all on her own, but she gave up after 20 minutes.
Teach me.
Abby closed face near me and tried to intimidate me to teach her about the codes. The smell of her shampoo entered my nose, and her eyes locked with mine. I won't, I said in a teasing manner, causing Abby to fall into a deep thought. If you teach me, I will let you touch my boobs once. Abby said, trying to look calm even though she was blushing hard.
Eh?
My brain short-circuited after hearing what she said.
What? You like boobs, right?
I saw the way you looked at my mom's.
Abby said. Yeah. Your mom's boobs, not your boob. I teased again.
For her to offer something like that made me feel bad that I kept teasing her. Anyway, don't worry, I'll teach you dash. Abby was agitated when she heard about her mom's again. She grabbed me and put me into a headlock, with my cheek against her boobs.
Don't talk about my mother like that, Abby said, trying to punish me for my transgression. Didn't you hear what I said? I will teach you. Stop this, I said hurriedly. Even if I was an adult before, my body right now was an easily excitable teenager. If she prolonged this punishment, my body would react. Really? Abby widened her eyes in excitement. She pushed her body onto mine, changing the headlock into a hug. The push caused both of us to fall on the bed with her body on top of mine. Our faces inches away from one another. I could feel her hot breath and unusually fast heartbeat as our bodies were pressed together. Chapter 23, Hot Atmosphere. Abby and I stared into each other's eyes, our bodies unmoving. So, what's happening here? Are we falling in love with each other? I teased with a smile as I saw Abby's face beginning to blush. Unexpectedly, she didn't try to move away, nor did she try to break eye contact. You know, you had been so weird today? Abby asked. How so? More calm. More mature. It's as if I hadn't gone for 10 days, but instead 10 years. Abby paused while still staring at me. Her face was determined to get the answer. My bright smile turned into an awkward smile as I understood what she was talking about. Even though I retained a lot of the Newgate's characteristics, I was not him entirely. So, what happened to you? Abby asked. It's because I now understand what I didn't before, I replied. Explain. Or I won't let you go. Abby said, locking her legs now with my legs as she thought I would be uncomfortable with this, as the previous Newgate was uncomfortable when she tried to hug him or get closer to him. The teenie did have a major crush on the goth girl. It was weird how she never understood that. That puts me in a hard spot, I said. Abby smirked and thought that I would tell her everything next. If you're thinking, I've won this round. That's just naive thinking. You threatened me with this, I said, referring to her thigh sliding up my legs. And didn't even notice that I don't have anything to lose here. In fact, I'm enjoying this. Ugh. Abby groaned and tried to let go, causing her to fall sideways to the bed while still close to me. Her face turned away as she tried to get up. However, I placed my hand on her chin and gently, yet forcefully turned her face back towards me. What? Abby asked. Her heart palpitated quickly as she didn't expect me to do anything. I got to say, you're really beautiful, Abby, I complimented honestly while I slid her hair back against her ears to see her face better. Abby's eyes moved toward my lips, and she inches closer and closer. No. You're 14. Abby suddenly pushed me away, causing me to fall from the bed. Ow. I winced in pain, but I was still laughing from her beet red face. She was mad and she threw a soft pillow at my face. After calming down the angry goth girl with some promise of my very own strawberry shortcake to be given to her tomorrow, I taught her some of the programs I had used in my website creation and to create the program that synchronized both the website and the office system. Although she barely got 10% of the matter, her eyes showed glimmering interest and undying resolution to learn more about software development. Abby, please, it's almost 10. I need to go home, I said in frustration as the goth girl was hugging me from the back, not wanting to end the session early. Just a bit more, just a bit more, Abby begged with teary eyes as I wanted to say goodbye. I taught her to make her own 8-bit game, which she was almost completing the first step. Okay. But I'll type. You're too slow, I said as I took her laptop from her. Third-person POV. As Desiree was going to open the door, she heard the voice coming from inside the room. Wow. You're really good, Abby said while panting her breath. Abby, are you done yet? Edward asked with a desperate tone. Just a bit more. Faster, bigger. Harder, Abby exclaimed in excitement. Desiree quickly turned backward and decided not to interfere, not until her daughter had finished. Desiree muttered to herself, I sure hope they are using protection. Edward POV. Okay. I'm done, I said as I showed her the primitive era game that she had made by herself. It was just a walking skeleton that carried a club with him.
It walked on an empty field for 20 seconds, and then the game ended. However, that short bit had made the young girl so excited. She hugged me sideways and kissed my cheeks repeatedly as she thanked me. I had always been looking for ways to do this, but I never got the chance. Abby said. Okay. Stop. I need to go home now. I said with a flat tone, already regretting my decision to teach the girl to code. Desiree suddenly knocked on the door as Abby was hugging me. She looked at me with some indecipherable glint in her eyes which weirded me out. Next, we're going to try some leather equipment and make sure it lasts more than 20 seconds. Abby said excitedly to me, which caused Desiree to freeze in her spot. Okay. Whatever you want. Just let me go now. I said. Abby finally lets me go after she made me promise to hang out with her tomorrow. Third-person POV. As Edward said goodbye and walked to his house, Desiree turned to Abby and asked, "Are you having sex?" "No." "Are you using protection?" "You did, right?" she asked. No. Not yet. We didn't have time yet to use protection. Abby replied as her mind was thinking about the game character's defense. Desiree became ashen. "Why don't you? Do you know how dangerous it was? Where did he finish?" Abby was confused by her mother's question. Inside my dash, she wanted to say laptop, but Desiree stopped her as she couldn't bear to hear another word. Desiree holds Abby's shoulder with both hands. "Abby, listen to me. I know that he is your first boyfriend, but always use protection." "Mom, what?" Abby muttered. "We will get you to the pharmacy to get you some pills if he did it inside you. Come with me. We will get you some birth control along the way." Abby was confused at first, and then her face turned red, and she couldn't believe what her mother just said. "There are a few other ways to finish. Don't let him shoot inside of you. Make him pull out." Desiree continued. "We didn't have sex." Abby shouted in a weird high-pitched voice to stop her mother from spiraling, causing Edward, who's still nearby, to hear an echo. Edward POV. What was that?" I muttered as I turned around to look for the source of the echo. I gave up after not finding anything and walked toward my house. My dad's car was already parked, so I knew he had gotten home. Ted was sitting on the sofa and watching a show on TV with a can of beer in his hand. "That's pretty late. What are you doing?" Ted asked as I entered the house. I took off my slingshot bag and placed it on the sofa. I was teaching a girl how to create her own game. "Anyway, Dad, didn't you meet with Claire today? How did that go?" I asked as I sat down on the sofa. She said to give her 1 or 2 days to think. Although I think she was great at the interview, she was also a bit weird. I finished Ted's sentence for him. "Your words. Not mine," Ted said. "But yeah." I smiled and said, "It doesn't matter if she's a bit weird. She has this desperate need to prove herself and the skills to achieve it. Although I'm starting her part-time, she will be able to move up the corporate ladder in no time." "Corporate?" Tim asked in confusion. He thought that I was speaking metaphorically, but I actually had a long-term plan for the company. "Anyway, give her some time. She is worth it," I said. Tim was silent as he stared at me. Then, he broke into a smile. "You trust her that much?" he asked. "Yup," I said casually. Before Tim could ask further, we heard someone knocking on the front door. "LAPD," the voice shouted from outside of the house. Tim and I looked at each other, and we walked to the front door. A tall, African-American cop with short hair and a flashlight in his hand had waited for us to answer the door. "Hello, Ted," the cop said. "Buddy, why are you here?" Ted asked in confusion. Did one of the guys get drunk again? I would advise Ted to not call a cop Buddy, but in this case, the cop's name was actually Buddy. He was also a familiar face that I had seen before in the series, therefore I was wondering why he was here.
I actually came here for your son, Buddy said and turned toward me. Where were you around 6 in the evening? Ted interjected with a solemn tone and moved forward to protect me. Are you questioning my son? What is it for? Ted, it's just a procedure. I need to ask,
Buddy said with a wry smile. I was having dinner with the neighbors in 314.
You can ask them if you want. They can vouch for me. I replied easily, and then I got curious. Why? What happened? Buddy sighed in relief and said, well,
someone burned down a high schooler's car. I heard rumors that he had fought with you yesterday from my son, so I had to ask.
Fought with? Brian's car or Dylan's? I asked. Brian also had a car, so I need to ask.
It belonged to Dylan Marshall. It caught fire while he was buying some food, and we found traces of arson. Someone used gasoline to burn down the car.
Buddy explained. Is he injured? I asked in concern.
Buddy controlled his laughter and said, his eyebrows are gone.
What kind of bad luck do you have, Dylan? I thought. Any CCTV footage or any witnesses on who did it? No.
The place is quite deserted, so we didn't find any suspects other than a witness's ambiguous statement. Buddy said and explained no further. He was only answering my initial questions because of his friendship with my dad. They had met a few times at the pier as there was a lot of trouble there, especially in the night. They were also drinking buddies at some times.
Okay.
I also need to go question one Haley Dunphy, even though the Dylan kid swore she would never do something like this.
Thank you for your cooperation, Ted, Edward.
Buddy thanked us with a nod and he walked back to his police car. I texted Haley about the matter to inform her about the police coming for her, but she wasn't replying.
So I tried Alex next.
She also wasn't replying, so I called Phil.
Third person POV. Dunphy's house.
Inside the master bedroom, Claire and Phil were kissing each other goodnight before they turned off the light. The moment Claire turned off the light, her husband's phone rang.
Who is calling in the middle of the night? Claire asked as Phil reached for his phone in the nightstand. I don't know. Wait, it's Eddie. Hello, E-Money.
Phil answered the phone cheerily after he saw the caller ID.
Hello, Vitamin P. Is Haley there? Can I speak to her? It's urgent,
Edward said hurriedly from the other side.
Why is he calling? Claire asked. I don't know, he wants to speak to Haley. It's urgent, Phil whispered.
Claire snatched the call from Phil and talked to Edward herself.
Hi Ed, what is so urgent? Claire asked.
She was a bit dissatisfied that Edward was calling them to connect to Haley, but she still needed to know the situation, so she let him speak first. In a few minutes, a cop is going to your house to question Haley about a few things.
Is she home yet? I've been texting her, but she didn't reply,
Edward said from the other line.
Claire quickly becomes restless and gets up from the bed. Why are the cops coming here? What did Haley do?
Claire ran toward Haley's room without taking a second to wear her slippers properly.
Wait. Cops? Haley. Phil's smile disappeared and his face turned solemn.
He ran to follow Claire from behind, almost slipping on the floor because he was at his highest speed. Claire barged into Haley's room, causing both Haley and Alex to scream in surprise. Alex was studying at her desk while Haley was laying on her bed, gossiping.
"MOM. What are you doing?" Haley asked in a high-pitched voice as her call with Tara was interrupted. "Haley. What did you do? Why are the police looking for you?" Claire asked in a full panic mode.
Phil barged into the teenager's room and shouted, "They'll never take Haley away, not while I'm alive."
"MOM. What's happening?"
Haley shouted in fear as her parents' reaction to whatever was coming was scaring her. In Newgate's house, Edward was face-palming himself as he didn't think it through while telling the family about the police.
Edward is calling. He said the cops are coming for you. Claire said hurriedly to get an explanation from Haley.
The noises woke up Luke, and he was rubbing his eyes as he watched the scene coming from his sister's room. Alex finally checked her messages during the chaos. Wait. There's a text from Edward. He said that someone had burned Dylan's car. The police are coming to question Haley about it. I didn't burn Dylan's car. Haley shouted hurriedly. Wait, who's Dylan? Claire asked. Her ex-boyfriend. They broke up today. Alex explained. You have a boyfriend? Claire looked at Haley weirdly and asked. Claire, focus. We need to hide her from the cops. Grab your passport and some cash. Phil said. I didn't burn his car. Haley shouted again. Haley grabbed the call from Claire and asked, Edward. What is going on? Edward finally got a word in after uselessly trying to explain to Claire about the matter as she was tuning out everything he said. It's only for questioning. Someone had burned Dylan's car around 6 in the evening. You didn't do it, did you? I asked. No. Haley screamed in frustration. I was with Tara at the mall, getting our nails done. Just tell the cops that. They are only trying to find the suspect, not bringing you in so you can calm down. Ask Claire and Phil to calm down too and stop Phil from finding a gateway car. He won't find any in time. Edward said in a calm tone, which in turn had calmed down Haley too. Oh. Haley exclaimed after she finally figured out the situation. Suddenly, a knocking sound could be heard coming from the front door of her house. We're too late. Quick, climb down the windows. Phil whispered. No, Dad. They are not coming to get me. They are only asking some questions. They asked Edward some questions too. Haley explained and gave the call to Alex. Okay. Now, narrate to me exactly what is happening. Edward requested Alex. Okay, we are going outside of the room now. Alex said and followed her family from behind. Phil and Claire calmed down a bit, and the entire family followed Haley to open the door. Luke was not interested as he knew Haley wasn't in trouble, so he went back to sleep. Are you Haley Dunphy? Buddy asked as Haley opened the door. Yes. Haley replied meekly. Where are you at 6 in the evening today? I was at the mall, doing my nails with my friends. Haley said. Okay, good. Thank you for your cooperation. Buddy said, smiled, and walked back to his car. She is a very good girl. Phil shouted at the cop as he drove away. Dad! Haley shouted in embarrassment as all of her neighbors had heard what Phil had shouted. And Dad had just shouted, Haley is a good girl, which I know she isn't. Alex said as she was having fun narrating the scene to Edward. Edward said, I can hear him from my house. I know. Dad is crazy. Alex laughed. Claire snatched the call from Alex, who was making fun of her family, and said to Edward, who burnt down the car. I don't know. Edward replied. Is it you? Claire asked. Edward was silent after he heard the question. No, Mom. He had dinner with his girlfriend at her house. It wasn't him. Haley said with a tone of disbelief. It's not that I don't trust him, I just wanted to make sure nothing is happening with him. Claire explained herself, but everyone was staring at her with disbelief in their eyes. Okay, kids. Go to bed. Claire said hurriedly. Edward, thank you for notifying us. You should go to bed too. Claire said and ended the call after saying goodnight. Wait. I want to dash before Phil could finish his sentence. Claire already cut the call. Edward POV. After the incident ended, Haley returned my text and asked me if I knew who did it. She couldn't text Dylan as the guy's phone was still broken. Edward, even I don't know. Anyway, go to sleep. I'll text you if I hear anything, and you do the same thing for me. Deal? Haley, deal. As I was doing my homework from Mrs. Henderson, I heard my phone chiming. Haley, Tara is asking Madeline, who's asking Brian, who's asking Dylan if he knew who did it. But Dylan said he only saw a girl's figure.
Edward, I see. Was his car destroyed?
Haley, be right back. I returned to my homework when Haley texted me 5 minutes later. Haley, yes, his car is destroyed.
Anyway, what are you doing now? Edward, I'm doing homework. That's too bad for Dylan. Can you ask Tara to send a message to him? Tell him I want to talk to him tomorrow. Haley responded almost instantaneously after reading the text.
Haley, why do you want to meet him?
Edward, can you do it or not?
Haley, I can, but can you tell me why first?
Edward, no.
She responded with a series of furious emojis, in which I ignored all of them. She finally gave up and told me that she had already delivered the message from Tara. Haley, I did you a favor, so you need to do me a favor too.
Edward, no.
Haley, why not?
Edward, I already did you a favor by calling your mom before. I owe you nothing. Smirk emoji. And then, the emoji bomb exploded once more.
I felt satisfied after making Haley annoyed, and I ignored her as I continued my work to develop the website.
Chapter 24, Crush. Third-person POV. Dunphy's house. Oh my god, can't you stop groaning? I'm trying to sleep here.
Alex said to Haley as her sister kept tossing and turning in her bed after they had turned off the lights. Haley stopped tossing and sat upright facing Alex suddenly, causing Alex to flinch.
WW what? Alex asked with a stammer. You know Edward has a girlfriend, right? Haley asked. Yeah. So?
Haley paused for a second and said, between her and M nothing.
Good night. Haley said and lay back down on the bed.
Alex was confused by her sister, but she shrugged the issue and went to sleep. The clock ticked slowly, and Haley couldn't fall asleep even after Alex had been sleeping for a while. She checked her T-Mobile Sidekick phone, /N, that's the phone's brand, and noticed that the time was almost 2 a.m. She checked her texts, and messages from Tara were at the top of the list while Edward's was beneath Tara.
He texted me?
Haley suddenly brightened up and opened the text from Edward.
Edward, good night. Tell me what you want to ask for tomorrow. If it's not hard to do, maybe I'll think about it.
Haley chuckled a bit, and turned toward Alex hurriedly to see that her laughter didn't wake up her sister. Not that she cared that she was disturbing her, she just didn't want Alex to see she was laughing gleefully from Edward's text. She then texted back.
Haley, I'll talk to you about it tomorrow. Edward, go to sleep, it's 2 a.m. That's why you never grow. Haley, I am not short.
Edward, you're like 4 feet 3 inches, 129 centimeters.
Haley, 5 feet 1 inch. 160 centimeters. Haley, okay, I'm not going to get into this. Good night. Haley sighed and then she got curious. Haley, what are you doing up anyway? Edward, I'm working on the website.
Haley, when did you usually sleep?
Edward, around 3 or 4.
I'm only staying up late until I'm done.
Haley, Abby isn't staying up with you?
Haley was surprised when she saw her question. Halfway when she was typing to divert the topic, Edward had replied, no.
She can't stay past 12. She isn't capable of that.
In Abby's house, the sleeping Abby suddenly sat up from her bed half asleep, before she lay down again and continued sleeping. Haley cupped her face with her hand as she tried to sleep, wondering why she had asked Edward such an embarrassing question. She keeps squirming in her bed, causing Alex's sleep to be disturbed.
Shut up! Alex yelled and went back to sleep again.
Haley was stunned by what just happened, and she stared at the texts before she finally fell asleep.
Edward's POV. Anyway. I need to focus, otherwise it will be useless for me to stay up. I texted Haley and ended the conversation. Morning came quickly the next day.
After taking a shower and wearing a long-sleeved purple t-shirt and black pants, I walked downstairs to make some breakfast and my lunch at school for today.
Another late night?
Ted asked as he saw my eye bag after he walked downstairs to the kitchen, fully ready in his captain's uniform.
Of course.
Here. I gave him a cup of coffee as he sat at the kitchen counter.
I saw that you're marinating chicken. What's that for?
Ted asked as he saw the chicken I put into the freezer last night. There were also several desserts inside the fridge. The dessert was made inside a transparent packaging box, with a portion for just one person each box. I'm making spicy chicken burgers today after I'm home, I said casually while frying some eggs and bacon for mine and Ted's breakfast.
Ted gulped his saliva and said, "What time?"
I turned to him and said teasingly, "I didn't prepare any for you.
It's for Mr. Dunphy, Luke, and Manny who's coming by today."
Ted lowered his head in disappointment before perking up as I said, "I could make you one now. You can eat it at your workplace."
"Let's do that. Claire Dunphy is coming again today.
I wonder when she will actually accept the work,"
Ted said to make conversation. "I will make one for her too then. Make sure to warn her that it is spicy,"
I said as I poured some oil into a pan. After making the burgers, I took the desserts from the fridge and rode my bike to school as usual.
The goth bully stopped my bike again today as I passed through her house.
Today, she was wearing a black shirt with striped black and white long sleeves and a black jeans complete with chains as an accessory. With a black lipstick and eyeliner, Abby stared into my eyes as she got up close to my face again.
"Gimme," Abby demanded.
I reached into my bag and helplessly gave her 2 strawberry cheesecakes that I had promised her the night before. From the transparent container, Abby saw a strawberry that was cut in half at each of the container's walls being surrounded by the white cheesecake.
"It's pretty?"
Abby said in disbelief as she turned the box to see it from all sides.
"Another one is for your mom."
"Tell her I said thanks for the dinner last night." I said casually, ignoring Abby's suspicion whether I made this myself or not.
"I need to taste this first," Abby said and opened up the lid while she was standing on the sidewalk.
There was a spoon attached to the lid.
Abby grabbed the spoon and decided to taste the cake right then and now.
As she put the cake in her mouth, she started to swoon and danced a bit.
"It's so good," Abby exclaimed while touching her cheeks. "Are you really goth?" I asked. She pointed her spoon at me and said, "Shut up."
Then, she took another bite of the cake. She kept moaning and making exclamations, making my hormones a tad awry.
"Okay, I'm going to go and leave the two of you alone. Maybe, get a room?"
I said and cycled the bike away from her.
"Wait. Will you come by today? We need to continue the game," Abby shouted from afar. "After dinner,"
I shouted back as my bike reached the main road. As I got to school, I sat at the back of the class as usual and started to catch up on my sleep.
Third-person POV.
After Abby saw Edward had turned into a corner, Desiree finally walked out of the house to start the car. The MILF was wearing a tight green blouse that hugged her body and had a deep cut that would surely make her a star to a teenage boy's dream.
"Abby, let's go," Desiree called.
Abby wiped her mouth hurriedly and hid the untouched strawberry cake that Edward asked her to pass to Desiree.
"Mom, Edward gave this to us," Abby said while taking a spoonful of the cake and tried to feed Desiree.
Her mother tried to avoid the spoon, but it was helpless. Abby forcefully inserted the spoon into her mother's mouth, and a tiny bit of the cream fell into Desiree's cleavage.
"It's good," Desiree said with glittering eyes. "It's not too sweet either. Did Edward make this?"
The mom slowly traced her finger on the fallen cream, wiping it off her skin, and then licked her finger filled with the cream seductively. Abby rolled her eyes at her mother's sensualness and said, "Mom,
use a tissue."
"Oh.
Right,"
Desiree said and then followed her daughter's advice. However, even using the tissue couldn't hide her sexiness.
Abby's eyes lost all hope and she gave up on the matter.
As Desiree was reaching into the deep part of her chest with a tissue, Claire was passing around the street in her minivan and saw the particular scene. She opened her mouth, but no words could describe what she had just seen. She quickly called Phil, who just started driving to work. As the call connected, Claire said hurriedly, "Phil,
Don't use the East Road." "Why? Is there construction there?" Phil asked as he entered his car.
Yes.
There is a lot of shaking, a cliff, and all that stuff," Claire said as she found herself couldn't look away from Desiree.
Also, don't forget to pick up the dry cleaning when you get back."
"Okay, honey. Leave it all to me. You go out and investigate the job,"
Phil said reassuringly while simultaneously forgetting about the dry cleaning from his mind.
"Just go and learn what you need to do. I know you will manage to learn it in no time."
Claire was touched at her husband's trust. "Thanks, honey."
"Are you really sure you can handle it?"
"I think I can, Claire. Pick up Alex's cello from the shop, buy some broccoli, and don't forget to take Luke to soccer practice."
"I'm on it,"
Phil said, beaming with confidence.
"And?"
Claire waited for Phil to continue, but he didn't.
"What?" Phil asked. "The dry cleaning, Phil,"
Claire said urgently.
"I know. I'm just messing with you,"
Phil said with a laugh and tried to list out his chores today hurriedly while he was driving.
Edward POV. As I fell into dreamland at school, I was suddenly called by the teacher to solve the problem on the board. "Mr. Newgate, as you're confident you can pass the final exam, why don't you solve the problem in front?"
The old, African-American teacher with a puffy jacket on and a bald head called out for me. I peeked at the board while still half asleep, and I muttered, 11. The teacher and the other students were all stunned after they heard my answer. "Mr. Newgate, this is a geography class," the old teacher shouted in anger. The other students laughed at the situation in me, and I managed to avoid being called by the teacher for the rest of the first period.
"Hey!" Jenna called out to me after class while I was opening my locker.
Although I wanted to ignore her, I turned toward her and saw that she had returned to her usual self, but her hair was shorter now.
"Won't your hair be damaged if you constantly change its color?" I asked.
Jenna touched her hair and said, "Well, it does.
Anyway, I hired a tutor yesterday. So you need to make sure to keep your promise." "I will," I replied. Elsa walked nearby and spoke to me without growling or being angry at me for the first time. "Hey! What's the deal with Jacob?" Elsa asked with annoyance. "Why does he keep running away from me? Did he never talk to a girl before?"
Elsa had tried to talk to Jacob since the beginning of the first period as they have Spanish together, but Jacob keeps ignoring her. I knew that Jacob's condition didn't allow him to speak to women, therefore I tried to help him.
"No. He can speak to other girls. Just not you,"
I said, causing more confusion inside of Elsa's mind.
I also saw Jacob stalking us from the corner of the hall, making me want to tease him even more.
He desperately shook his head after he saw my evil grin, begging for me to stop whatever it was I had planned.
"Why can't he speak to Elsa?" Jenna asked in confusion.
"Because, every time you come closer to him, his heartbeats quickened. Every time he saw you smile, he felt like the world had stopped. Every time he heard your voice and your laughter, it was as if he heard the most wonderful song in the world." Elsa opened her eyes wide while Jenna smiled widely while looking at her friend as she also felt the second-hand embarrassment from Jacob's words.
He was frozen because he couldn't help it.
"You're the one thing he desired the most in his entire life.
You're his golden apple in Adam and Eve's garden.
If he talked to you and messed it up, then he'll spend the rest of his life in suffering. Therefore, he will pretend that you didn't exist, so that he could keep living in reality with you in it." I used a pitiful tone, causing Elsa to close her mouth with her hands as she heard all of it. She had a boy crushing on her before.
But not like this.
This was more towards love than like. Unknowingly, her mind became filled with her encounters with Jacob, and she realized that he had been stealing glances at her through the years they had studied in the same school together.
"Really?" Jenna asked excitedly. The love story had aroused her curiosity to the peak. "Yeah.
So, maybe you cannot speak to him in real life, but you could text him, I said and gave Elsa Jacob's phone number. The second period was starting, so the two girls quickly walked away after getting Jacob's phone number. Jenna wanted to ask for my phone number or me to accept her Facebook friend request, but as I didn't have a Facebook account, I gave her my email instead. After the girls walked away, I turned to Jacob, who was frozen at the corner of the hall while still peeking at me. I tapped my chest twice and pointed at him. I got you, bro. Jacob staggered and almost fell down after he heard my statement. I smirked evilly and walked to the next class, leaving the despairing potato kid contemplating life in his initial spot. After school was over, I waited at the street near Palisades High School to meet someone. Dylan walked his bike towards me with a face full of despair and a band-aid on his broken nose. Hey! Dylan greeted pitifully. I looked at him in pity and wondered what kind of luck he had in his life. In the span of one day, his nose was broken, his girlfriend broke up with him, and he lost his car to an arsonist. Why are you pushing your bike? I asked. The chain broke. Dylan said with a tone of holding back his tears. I was speechless after I heard him. Have you eaten yet? I asked. No. My wallet was inside the car. All of my money was destroyed in the fire. Dylan said, causing me to be speechless again. I let out a long sigh and I said, let's go eat. But I don't have any money. Bitch, did I ask you to pay? Just order. It'll be my treat. I said to Dylan and led the way to the restaurant nearby, not taking no for an answer. Dylan rubbed his eyes, causing me to wonder if he was crying. He quickly said as I turned toward him, no. Dust got into my eyes. I am definitely not, crying. I let him have a moment to calm down before we entered the restaurant. I treated him to a burger and we talked for a while, mostly him venting about how unfair his life was, and how he was still in love with Haley and so on. I tuned out most of what he vented because I got bored after he started to repeat his topic. Dylan, you're 18, right? I asked. Yeah. Dylan replied while stuffing his face with the donut we ordered. Are you going to college next year? I asked. No. Me and my band are going on a tour. Dylan replied. Oh. Did you sign a contract with an agency? I asked in wonder. Dylan shook his head and said, no. We didn't. You have a manager, right? I asked again. No. Dylan replied while scratching his head, wondering why I was asking him all those things. I sighed and said, Dylan. Your music dream is doomed. He got a bit irritated and said defensively, but we didn't start yet. Why do you say that? Because you don't actually know what to do to succeed, right? I asked while interlocking my fingers together on the table, getting into my business mode. It's undeniable that you can sing. But honestly, your music is SOSO. You don't know how to advance further in your career, and you have no one to back you up in your dreams. Once life starts getting too much for you, believe me, you will stop singing and maybe find some odd jobs to get by, as you don't have any other skills right now. Dylan was silent, so I got straight to the point. Go to college. Even if I want to. My SAT score and my family situation wouldn't let me do that. Dylan confessed. I was fucked from the start. With a hippie mother and no father, Dylan had been living his life in a hard mode. But one thing I really admired about him was that he had never stopped trying to get his life together, and to better himself as a person because he wanted to deserve Haley. No. Not yet. I said. I can help you. I stared into Dylan's eyes and asked, do you trust me? I don't. Dylan replied. But, I'll gamble on you. Maybe because his intelligence was like the small animals that were attracted by my afterlife aura, Dylan easily let his life fall into my hands. If I wanted to, I could break his life into pieces and make his life a misery. But I wouldn't do that. I knew better than anyone how it felt to be so lost. You just wander around in the streets to look for a purpose in life.
Okay. Tonight there will be an event on my dad's ship, but they lack the crew. Do you want to work part-time tonight? You might get harassed by some old ladies, but the pay is good. $300 for a night. Really? Dylan widened his eyes in surprise as he heard the pay. Yeah. If you're lucky, you could also bag a few of those cougars tonight. I teased. What's a cougar? Dylan asked. I paused for a bit, and then I replied, never mind. It's better if you don't know. Starting next month, I will produce a music video and a new song for YouTube. You're going to be the main singer and be inside the music video. It's a parody song, so don't expect much. Dylan lunged towards me, grabbed my shoulder and started to shake me front and back. Really? Yes. Please release me, and wipe your hand. This is a new shirt. I said helplessly, and I saw his ketchup-filled hand had slathered onto my shirt. Sorry. Dylan apologized sincerely and I let the matter go. I gave him the number of the crew, and one of them would pick him up before they went out to the open seas tonight. As Dylan and I finished our talk, we bumped with Mrs. Henderson as we walked out of the restaurant. Hello, Mrs., I greeted. Dylan also greeted the teacher politely as he knew she was teaching in the middle school. Mrs. Henderson has a rare, bright smile on her face. Mr. Newgate, how's your face? She asked with a kind tone. Are you waiting for someone here? Why are you smiling like an angel? I asked. Mrs. Henderson flinched and replied, no. I wasn't waiting for anyone. I was just getting some lunch. Oh. Try their number 45. It's very good. I said and waved goodbye at the teacher before bringing Dylan to my house. I repaired his bicycle chain easily, earning me a hug from the 18-years-old kid. He hugged me for 5 seconds and didn't seem like he was going to let go anytime soon, so I said, okay. Now. Get off me. Chapter 25, Hangout. Hello? Edward. We're here. Manny rang the doorbell at my house after he came with Jay and Gloria. Wearing a black apron, I opened the door and saw the little family. Gloria was wearing a tight, floral print dress, Jay was wearing business casual clothes, and Manny in his puffy bowling shirt as usual. Oh geez. Jay exclaimed as he saw my attire. I wonder if he was having Mitchell's flashback inside his mind. What? I don't want to ruin my shirt, I said defensively. I had tied up my hair into a bun, and was holding a spatula in my hand. I also folded my long-sleeve shirt to the elbow to avoid it getting dirty from cooking. Are you cooking? It smells good. Gloria asked after her nose had picked up on the smell. Yeah. I'm making a spicy and crispy chicken burger, I replied. You're not allergic to anything, are you? I asked Manny. No. I'm fine with everything, Manny replied. Come in. Let's talk inside. I invited them. Jay said, no need, we need to get Dash. Vamos, Jay. Gloria and Manny had entered the house before Jay could even decline the invitation. Jay lowered his head in defeat and entered the house reluctantly. I hurried my steps toward the kitchen as I was frying the chicken at the moment. Phew. I breathed in relief after the chicken was cooked perfectly as I came back. I could only cook it 2 at a time because it needed to be deep fried and the pan was small. That looks great, Manny said as he saw me seasoning the cooked chicken. The chicken was marinated overnight, and was coated in batter before I fried it. The seasoning was only the finishing touch for the meat to give it a certain kick. Edward, why did you fight before? Fighting is not good, Gloria asked as after she hesitated for a while. Even though I had already taken off the pain relief patch on my face, some bruising could still be seen. You fought someone? Manny asked with a face full of shock as he sat at the kitchen counter. Yeah. I replied to Manny casually before I explained, Haley's boyfriend, I guess he's an ex-boyfriend now, thought that I was dating her. So he came to ask me about it. His friend got hot-headed and tried to punch me, so a fight broke out. So, is it Haley's fault? Jay asked after understanding the situation. No, it was not. It was just some boys being stupid, I said to defend Haley. Gloria became angry. Why did he come to you? He couldn't talk to his girlfriend himself? Ese puto loco. That crazy bastard. Jay stopped Gloria as he sensed something. What happened to the other guys? He asked to change the topic. One got a broken nose, the other one didn't come to school till today. I replied casually with a little hint of bragging as I served the first burger to Manny. Jay laughed out loud in elation while Gloria admonished him quickly to not let Jay encourage me to fight. Don't do that, Jay. Gloria said quickly. Jay's commentary. Nowadays, the kids are too soft. Back in my day, we fought with each other on a weekly basis. Bruises on the face were a common thing. In fact, my dad will ask me why I didn't get a bruise sometimes and tell me that a man has to be able to defend himself. Jay said in reminiscence. It's a good thing to fight. It'll toughen the kid and prepare him for the real world. Jay said. This is an actually growing boy. Not like. Commentary ends. You did good, kid. Do you want me to teach you self-defense? Jay asked while showing a few boxing moves and glanced at Manny at the same time to arouse his interest too. No. I already know how to defend myself, I said, and then I turned to Manny. Do you want to eat it now, or are you waiting for Phil and Luke? I asked. Phil and Luke are coming? Gloria asked in confusion. Yeah. We are going to hang out together, I explained. I also wanted to ask Phil about some stuff. I would like to eat it now as I want to give my mother a taste. Is it okay? Manny asked me. Jay sighed in disappointment as he heard what Manny just say. Gloria became excited and hugged Manny from behind. Oh. My sweet little boy. My sweet little angel dash. Mom. You said you're not going to do that here. Manny quickly stopped Gloria with a horrified voice. Gloria was stunned as she had forgotten her promise with Manny to not do this kind of stuff in front of me. I smirked and I said, no need to mind me. I think it's sweet you're taking care of your mother. Gloria, if you want, I can make you some too. I did make some extra. You're also a sweet little boy, Gloria said and tried to hug me. But Jay stopped her quickly before she could do so. What kind of stuff? Jay asked. What? I said in confusion. What is the stuff that you want to ask Phil? Jay explained a bit. Oh, that. I want to see how much this house will sell, I said. Jay scrunched his brow and asked, why? Just in case, I replied. Jay, you want a burger too? I asked him to divert the topic. Yeah. Sure, Jay said as he had been curious about the smell for a while now. I finished another plate for Gloria and placed it in front of her. She was sitting next to Manny while Jay was standing. Edward, why did you learn Spanish? Gloria asked as she grabbed the burger with both hands. Well, my mom is Cuban, I said, and I looked at them in anticipation to see their reaction to the burger. It was a habit that I got after living with Nani for a while. We had always eaten together, so it felt kind of lonely to eat all by myself. Really? Manny asked in excitement while holding the burger, but not taking a bite. So there's another thing we can bond over. Being a son of a Latin mother. Yeah. Except my mom tried her entire life to become a white woman, I said and urged him to eat. Go on. Take a bite. Manny nodded and opened his mouth to start eating, but somebody else interrupted him. Ah. So you learned Spanish from her? Jay asked. Nope. She wouldn't teach me anything, nor did she care about her family back in her country. She wanted to hide everything about her Cuban heritage, including her language.
So I learned Spanish, to spite her. I said casually, causing both Jay and Gloria to be stunned. Even Manny, who had opened his mouth, had stopped when I said that. It was me. I was the one who interrupted him. I don't even think her name is her true name. I continued. Despite me loving the chaos I created in this family, I didn't lie about my mother, not one bit. Gloria's commentary. The fake name. The forgetting of her roots. The not teaching her son Spanish. Why did America ruin another Latin person? Why? Gloria said with anger and sadness. When I get to see her, I will make sure to bring my machete with me and teach her a lesson. Latina moms never abandon their son. Commentaries ends. Tell me more about your mother. Gloria demanded. Okay. If you take a bite first. I'm dying over here to hear the reactions. I said, almost begging them to take a bite. Ah. Right. Manny finally realized that he had been holding the burger and took a big bite quickly. It's great. Manny said in excitement and took another bite quickly before he could even swallow the first one fully. Manny. Eat it slowly. Gloria said and also took a bite on her burger. Just like Manny, she was surprised by the spices and the crunchiness of the chicken meat. Her eyes were dilated, and she enjoyed the spiciness of the chicken meat before she swallowed it. It's good. Gloria exclaimed. Really? Jay became curious and wanted to try the food too, but his chicken was still being fried. Try this. Gloria said and fed Jay a bite of her burger for him to taste it. Jay's commentary. Jay sighed and confessed, I was transported. Commentary ends. It's pretty good, but I had better in the club before. Jay said, not wanting to admit that the burger had become his all-time favorite burger now. Really? Then go eat in the club. It'll take another 10 minutes for your burger to be done. I advised kindly. No need to hurry. Jay pulled a chair to the kitchen counter and sat down with the Colombians to wait for his burger. It'll be better if you have some fries. Jay said. Ah. I forgot about that. I said and took out some ready-made fries that I bought from the supermarket and fried them using another pan. As I opened the fridge, the rest could see the fully stocked fridge with various ingredients, desserts, and meals already being prepared inside it. What the hell? Did you make all of that stuff? Jay asked in surprise. Yeah. I replied casually. Why? Jay asked. 'Cause I had nothing else to do at that time. I replied. What about your website? Jay asked. Is it done? Yeah. It's almost done. I only need to link up the program to the ones my dad used in his office. I replied as I placed a plate of potato fries on top of the kitchen counter. Then, Claire can start to work, if she ever decides to take the job. She still hasn't taken the job yet? Gloria exclaimed in disbelief. Jay facepalmed after hearing the statement, and he wondered if he needed to call his daughter now to talk to her. Claire's commentary and flashback. Sitting on the sofa in the living room of her house, Claire recounted the events of today. When I got to the marina, the usual smell of the ocean didn't bother me anymore. I was excited. Claire confessed as she crossed her arms. Her eyes were glassy, and she changed position to lean forward and fiddled with her fingers. While wearing her sunglasses, Claire fixed her hair back as she got out of the car. There was a permanent smile plastered on her face as she got to know the rest of the crew, shaking hands with a working woman her own age, and she was excited at Edward's future plans for the company that was revealed by Ted. I still remember the kid's eyes. Claire said. There wasn't any doubt, there wasn't any hesitation, no second thoughts. He believes in me. And based on our meetings a few times last week, he knows me pretty well. But he still put his trust in me. Claire said with excitement as she remembered the moment Edward offered her the job. It feels really great. At lunch today, she was eating together with the ship's crew, and she ate the packed lunch Edward had packed for her.
It also contained a little note for Claire that said, "Have a good day." Then, her tone got lowered and depressed.
But if I don't stay on top of my family, I know one thing for sure.
That, my family, wouldn't be able to survive. Dunphy's house. OWW Dad, you're hurting me.
Luke whined as Phil was putting on a band-aid on his arm. Afraid of the repercussions, Phil asked in a begging tone, "Don't tell your mother about this."
About what? Luke asked in confusion. Good. You don't remember. Phil said hurriedly and threw out the evidence from the magic shop he'd bought a few hours before. Dad. Have you picked up the dry cleaning yet? I have a party to go to. I need that dress. Haley walked into the kitchen and asked anxiously. Phil scratched his forehead and replied, "Not yet." Ugh. And what happened to you? Haley asked Luke. Dad hanged me upside down. Luke replied groggily. No, I didn't. Phil said hurriedly. Alex walked in and threw her cello case to the floor. What's wrong with you? Haley asked Alex. Honey, why aren't you at your cello lesson? Phil asked while feeling ominous. How could I play the cello if there isn't any strings on it? Alex opened up the cello case and showed the stringless arrow to all. Ugh. Where's MOM?
Alex turned around to search for her mother in frustration.
Yeah. Where's Mom? Haley asked.
As if hearing her children calling her name, Claire returned home and saw the scene of chaos where her children were screaming at their dad. That was when reality hit her hard like Truckcoon had hit Edward before this.
Flashback ends. I'm sorry to Ed, but I will say no to the job. Claire finally made her decision. Commentary end. Edward's POV.
Suddenly, the house phone rang after I had served Jay his own burger.
Hello? I said after I picked up the call. Hello, Ed. I'm afraid Luke and I will be a little late. I need to go to pick up the dry cleaning and send Alex's cello to the shop. What's wrong with her cello? I asked. There are no strings on it. Phil replied hesitantly. PFFF- I let out a short laugh and said, Luke can come now, right? Jay, Gloria, and Manny are already here. Phil's voice became flustered and he asked, why are Jay and Gloria there? I'm making spicy chicken burgers. Asked Claire if she had gotten hers. I did pack her one. I asked.
Phil turned toward Claire, who's putting groceries on the kitchen counter.
Oh, it's really good. You better settle everything fast or else it's all going to be gone.
Claire replied instigatively as she was still mad at Phil.
I'll be there as soon as I can. Phil said and threw the phone to the kitchen top before he ran as fast as he could to the car. Phil.
Claire picked up the phone and checked if it was still connected.
And it was. Hey Claire. I greeted. See Claire?
Claire was a bit speechless as I was calling her Mrs. Dunphy before this.
How's the job? When are you going to start?
I still need to train you before I launch the website, I said.
Jay understood that I was talking to his daughter, and he was wondering what I was going to say to her. Ed, I'm sorry, but... As I heard Claire was going to reject the job, I suddenly said, what is it? Claire? Are you still there? Hello? Edward. Can you hear me? Claire? Did the line disconnect? Anyway, if you can still hear me, come to my house. Bring your children too. I cut the call instantly after I said that. Let me guess. She rejected you.
Jay hypothesized after he saw the entire situation. She didn't manage to say the word no yet.
I said with a sly smirk. Jay was silent, and then he asked, why do you want her for the job anyway? I paused for a second and I replied, because she is very dependable. I'm sure she will do a very good job. Most important of all, I trust her.
Jay stared into my eyes and found no lies in my words.
Okay, let's do this.
I'll help you convince her.
In return, I want to hire you to take a look at Pritchett's Closet website. Jay said.
Deal. We shook hands on the dirty deal and waited for Claire to arrive with the Dunphy's children.
What did we miss?
Gloria said after she returned to the kitchen with Manny. They had been looking around the house with my permission.
Gloria finally said to Jay, "Let's go. We'll be late to meet your friends."
Yeah.
About that.
I had already cancelled the plans with them. Claire is coming here, and I need to talk to her about something important.
See? Is it about the job? Gloria asked with an anxious tone.
Did she reject it?
Not yet. I interjected.
The doorbell rang, and the Dunphys were finally here.
I received Alex, Luke, Haley and Claire and invited them inside the house.
Ed, about the call.
Claire followed me closely from behind and wanted to talk to me privately first to reject the job offer.
Claire, you're here. Jay said and grabbed Claire's hand to lead her somewhere private to talk.
Come kids. Edward has been working hard to make this for you. Gloria said happily and presented the plates of food I'd prepared.
Luckily for me, I marinated enough chicken pieces for the entire extended family, Mitchell and Cam's family included. My original plan was to let the guests today take them away when they return home, but right now I need to convince Claire to take the job first.
Hey. Haley approached me. Did you talk to Dylan today?
I turned toward her and said, yeah.
I did. We're friends now. Alex interjected while Haley was confused and asked, "Why did you call us here?"
To eat. I replied simply, causing Alex to roll her eyes.
And to convince your mom to take the job.
Wait. Is she rejecting it?
Why? Alex asked anxiously.
I don't know, but I'm sure something had happened today for her to change her mind.
Any ideas what happened? I asked the sisters duo.
The sisters turned toward one another, and they said at almost the same time, "Be right back." That wraps up this part of What If Karmic Gacha System in Modern Family World.
Thanks so much for listening.
As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well.
See you in the next one.